Hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve illustration number 1. We are related and associated with cash books. These are the transactions which are provided in the question, and in practical, as an accountant, you will receive different transactions from your organizations, and you are responsible to convert this raw data into a usable information. Why I am saying this raw data? Because there is no sequence. Whatever they have done as an organization, they have written in a simple language and provided you the information. That is why it is called raw data. A good accountant receives this data, welcomes it, and convert it into a usable information. And how it would become a usable information, for that purpose we do have two aspects of this. As you can see that there are two parts, one of which is journal, which is at your left side, and second is cash book. How we will convert transactions given in the question into a usable information? Those transactions present in the question would be converted into journal. Here we have the journal, and we will put the information or the data given in the question, and we'll convert all the transaction present in the question into journal. What is journal? It is basically segregation of two different types of transactions. One which is favorable for the business, second which is unfavorable for the business. Here you do have two lines in every transaction. For every transaction we do have two lines. First line, which is considered to be debit, and second line is considered as credit. And what you will do, you will segregate transactions. Every transaction has dual effect. Something is coming in and something is going out. If you are paying something, the person who is receiving, what I was willing to say is, when you are paying something, the second person will be receiving. In the same manner, all transactions will be having dual function or dual aspect. And our next step is to convert these journal entries into cash book. And how we will do? We will post these journal entries in the cash book. There are three different accounts present in the cash book. First is discount, then cash and bank on the debit side of the cash book, and discount, cash and bank on the credit side of the cash book. What it is? Hopefully when somebody is doing cash book, they have already an idea about what are ledgers. Simple is this: we have combined three different ledger into the same book. Our key elements are discounts, cash and bank. These three elements, if they are present in our journal entries, we will pick them and will post these three elements into ledgers. Rule is very simple. If you will see cash or bank or discount on debit side, you will choose debit side of the cash book and will post. If it is discount, you will post debit side of the discount. If it is cash, you will post on debit side of cash book. If it is bank, you will post on debit side of the bank. Now let's say if any of these elements is present on credit side, what you will do, you will pick. If it is cash, bank or discount and written on credit side, you will go to the credit side and will post amount. If it is discount, in discount column. If it is cash, in cash column. If it is bank, in bank column. So what I have said, rule is simple. Why? Because if something is debit in journal, you will post in debit side of the cash book. Debit do debit, credit do credit. This way we will complete journal entries and will complete cash book. So returning to the question, all these transactions are associated with one single month, and that month is January. And you as an accountant will pick these entries day by day or date wise, and will convert these entries into journal. Step 1 is what? We will be recording all of the transaction in first book, and the first book is called journal. Let's see what first entry is saying to us. Let's start it. January 1 is the date, so we are putting date first. We'll write 1 over here. Since all the dates are associated with 1 month, that is January, so you may write January in English, or you may not write. I have mentioned dates only. Entry number 1 is saying Mr. Jameel started business with cash. Jameel is just the name of owner. You may ignore it. Mr. Jameel started business with cash. Now here you have to understand the situation. An accountant is working for the business, not for the businessman. Please do write this sentence. An accountant, or what we are working now, we will be attentive to business activities. We will not follow what businessman is doing, as we are employee of business, not we are the employee of businessman. In this sense, you will be counting and you will be observing easily what is coming into the business and what is going out of the business. First entry is proprietor or the owner of the business has invested some amount in the business. Now as you are an employee of business, not the businessman, for you, what you will observe that cash is coming in. Cash in hand is increasing. Why? Business owner is investing into the business. It means cash is coming into the business. If cash is coming, it means cash in hand is increasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be debited. So you will debit cash. Debit cash means you will mention on first line. First line is debit. So you will mention cash on debit side. Any amount which is provided by the proprietor of the business, that amount has a specific heading or specific name. This is called capital. Amount which is provided by the owner of the business is called capital, and capital is business liability. Why? Because owner had provided this amount as an investment and business is responsible for the profits or losses. Business will take care of this amount. That is why it's liability of the business. Capital, amount which is provided by the proprietor of the business, and for business it is liability. A liability should be mentioned on credit side, so you will write capital on credit side. Now let's see for how much amount. First entry is 2 lakh rupees. Now you will mention 2 lakh rupees on debit side. All right, and same amount you will be posting on your credit side of the transaction. This is debit side and this is credit side. Entry number 1 has been completed. Now let's see what next is for us. Next entry is January 3. We will post date first. It's January 3. We will write 3. And what it is saying, bought goods for cash. Business is buying goods and paying cash. When business is buying goods, it means goods are increasing. Goods are your near asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be mentioned on debit side. So you were supposed to write goods over here. But keep it in mind, we do not write goods, inventories or material used in the business. Instead of goods, we write working. At what working we are doing? For this entry, we were buying or purchasing goods. That is why you will mention purchase. Now goods here is unnecessary to be written. It is just the reference. So you may delete it, you may write it, or you may erase it. It's up to you. Goods are purchased. When you are buying something, it means the second activity would be you will be paying cash or check or something for the purchase of goods. In one aspect you are buying goods, in other aspect you are paying what? Cash. It means when you will pay cash, your cash in hand would be decreased. Cash in hand is your asset, means asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be credited, so you will mention cash on credit side. Let's see what is amount of third entry, bought goods for cash. It is 1,40,000. So you will mention 1,40,000 on debit side, and same amount you will be writing on credit side. In this way, entry number 3 is completed. Let's see what is next for us. Now we are on January 5. We will put date first, and it is 5. Okay, and what 5 is saying, paid for stationery. Again you are paying for what? You are buying stationery and paying cash. When you will pay, again the same thing you will be observing. If you are paying cash, that means your cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be written on credit side, so you will mention cash on credit side. And why you are paying cash? In entry number 5 you have bought stationery. If it is not used, it would be your near asset should be written on debit side, so you will mention stationery on debit side. And second aspect is also possible. If stationery you want to use on daily purpose, it would be considered as your expenses should be mentioned on debit side. So that is why you have mentioned stationery on debit side. If stationery is unused, it is asset. If you are using stationery, that would be an expense. In both ways, stationery would be written on debit side. It was number 5 entry. Let's see what is its amount. That is 2000. So you will mention 2000 on debit side, and same amount would be written on credit side. In this way, entry 5 is completed. Let's see what is next for us, and that is entry number 7. We will put date first and we'll write entry number 7. What 7 is saying? Sold goods for cash. You are selling goods, receiving cash. When you are selling your goods, you are receiving cash. It means cash in hand is increasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be debited, so you will mention cash on debit side. How or in what way you are receiving cash? As you have sold your goods. Selling goods mean goods are going out. Goods are your near assets. Assets are decreasing. Decrease in asset should be credited, so you will mention name of sales on credit side. You will mention, okay, let me know. You will mention goods on credit side on first hand. But in accounting, we do not write goods. In place of goods, we write working. What working we are doing, that is sales. So you will mention sales in place of goods. Now goods were just the reference. You may write it or you may delete it. It was just a reference. Entry is cash to sales. Now 7th entry's amount is 80,000. So you will mention 80,000 on debit side, and same amount you will be writing on credit side. This way journal of entry number 7 is completed. Now let's see what is next for us. Entry number 7 has been completed. Now we are doing January 10th entry. We will write date first in date column, 10th entry. And what it is saying, paid for trade expenses. Paid for trade expenses. Again, when you are paying, it means your cash is going out. That means cash in hand is decreasing. Decrease in cash in hand means decrease in asset. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you will mention cash on credit side. For what purpose you have paid this cash? Entry number 10, that is trade expense. Expenses. As we know that debit side is fixed for expenses. So you will write trade expense on debit side. Expenses are always written on debit side. First line is debit, so you have written trade expense on debit side. Let's see what is amount of entry number 10, and it is again 2000. So you will mention 2000 on debit side, and same amount you are supposed to write on credit side. This way entry number 10 is completed. Now let's see what next is for us. Entry number 11, and it is saying sold goods for cash. You are again selling. We have already sold goods for cash. Now it's second entry, which is saying sold goods for cash. If you are selling goods, it means cash is coming in, and cash is coming in means cash in hand is increasing. Increase in cash should be debited, so you will mention cash on debit side. You are selling goods, mean goods are going out. Goods are your near asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side, so you were supposed to write goods on credit side. But in accounting, we do not write goods. We write working in place of goods. What working we are doing? We are selling, so you will mention name of sales over here. Goods, name of good is now unnecessary to be written over here. It was just the reference to make you understood. You may erase it or you may write it just for the reference. Cash to sale after 10 was date 11. So you will mention here date 11. And what was the amount of 11th entry? It is, let me have, actually distance between statement and the amount is so large that alignment can be disturbed. So I have taken time. It is 20,000. So you will write 20,000 over here and will write the same amount on other side, that means credit side. Entry number 11 is completed for 20,000. Now entry number 14 is next, so you will write date first. Entry number 14, here in date column you have mentioned the date. What entry number 14 is saying? Received cash from Asif. You are receiving cash, it means cash is coming in. Cash is coming, that means cash in hand is increasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be mentioned on debit side, so you will mention name of cash on debit side. From whom you are receiving this cash? That is Mr. Asif. Mr. Asif was the person from whom amount was receivable, and since now you have received the amount, he is no more your account receivable, no more your asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. That is why you will mention the name of Asif on credit side. Here you have written on credit side. Entry number 14, entry number 11th amount was 20,000. What is next to 20,000 is 10,000. So you will mention 10,000 for 14th entry on debit side, and you will write the same amount on credit side. Entry number 14 is completed. Let's see what is next date. After 14 it is entry number 15. So you will go and will mark 15 in the date column. And what 15 is saying? Paid cash to Kadir. Paid cash to Kadir. You are paying cash, it means cash is going out. Cash is your cash in, it means cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be credited. So you will mention cash on credit side. To whom you are paying this cash? That is Mr. Kadir. Mr. Kadir was the person to whom amount was payable. Since you have paid now he is no more your account payable. Account payables are your liability. After payment he is not your liability. Liability is decreased. Decrease in liability should be mentioned on debit side. So you will mention name of Kadir on debit side, but you won't use to. Okay, Kadir name is being mentioned on debit side. And 15th entry amount is after 10,000. So you will see what is after 10,000, that is 20,000. You will mention 20,000 on debit side, and same amount you are supposed to write on your credit side or the next side. All right, entry number 15 is completed. Now let's see what is next for us after 15. It is entry number 18. So you will mention date over here 18. And now let's see what is 18 saying. Withdraw cash for personal use. Withdraw cash for personal use. If somebody is drawing cash from the business, it means cash is going out. Cash is going out mean cash is decreasing or cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you will mention name of cash on credit side. How this cash is going out? Because proprietor is using this cash for personal use. Now here another term would be introduced. Amount which was invested by the proprietor is called capital. And when that proprietor is drawing amount from the business, is going to draw amount from the business, that amount which is drawn from the business is called drawings, specific word, and it will be used if business proprietor is going to draw amount from the business for his personal use, that is drawings. And why we have written on debit side drawings? When proprietor of the business is investing or giving amount into the business, that is capital, which is liability. And when amount is drawn by the proprietor for his personal use, it means his capital has been decreased. Capital was liability. When capital is decreasing, it means liability decreased. Decrease in liability should be mentioned on debit side. That is why you are mentioning drawings on debit side. Now there might be a question why we haven't written capital over here if capital was decreasing. Actually, these are two different terms. Alright guys, entry has been completed, and what we have written, drawings. As I was telling you that drawings is just opposite to the capital, so we have written drawings on debit side. Capital is liability, drawings means opposite to liability, liability has been decreased. Decrease in liability should be mentioned on debit side, so you have written drawings on debit side. Now let's see what is amount of, we have to check what was the last amount, that was 20,000, and 18th entry is 6,000, so you will mention 6,000 on debit side. This is your debit side, and you will be writing same amount on credit side. Posted, it means entry number 18 has been completed, and you will be going to for the next entry. Just let me manage it. Okay, entry number 18 is completed. Let's see what is next for us, and that is entry 22. Entry 22. Okay, first we will mention date over here. It's very important, that is why I'm giving a little bit more importance to the date. 22 saying purchased or bought goods for cash. You are buying goods for cash. It means when you will buy, you have to pay. Cash is going out. It means cash is decreasing. Cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you are going to mention cash on credit side. Cash is your asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be credited. So you have mentioned cash on credit side. For what purpose you are paying this cash? Entry number 22 saying you are buying goods. It means goods are coming in. Goods are your near asset. Asset is increasing. So you were supposed to write goods over here. But actually we do not write goods in accounting. In accounting we replace goods with the working. What working in this transaction we are doing? That is purchase. So you will be writing purchase over here. Goods was just a reference. It is unnecessary to be written over here now. That was just a reference. You may erase it or you may write it. It's up to you. But goods will be written only for the reference. We are erasing it. Entry number 22. Let's see how much amount of entry number 22 is after 6,000. So we have entry number 18. After 6,000 it's 40,000. So you will be writing 40,000 on debit side, and same amount you will be writing on your credit side. So this way entry number 22 is completed. What you will do, just put a line after the entry as it has been completed. After 22, let's see what it is. We have 25th entry, and it is saying sold goods for cash. You are selling goods. It means goods present in your organization is decreasing. Goods are your near asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So goods were supposed to be written on credit side, but as you know that we do not write goods. In place of goods we write working. What working we are doing? We are selling, so you will mention name of sales over here. Goods were written just for the reference. It is now unnecessary to be written over here. You may erase it or you may write it. You have sold your goods, but for entry number 25, and we haven't mentioned the date, so stop everything and write date first. 25th entry was saying that you have sold goods, and now we will see for what purpose. Sold goods for cash. If you will sell goods, you will receive cash. That means your cash in hand is increasing. Increase in cash in hand means increase in asset. Increase in asset should be mentioned on debit side, so you will mention cash on debit side. Date we can write on the right place. So here entry number 25 Journal is completed. Now let's see how much amount of cash sale is. After 40,000 we have, one second, that is 90,000. So you will mention 90,000 on debit side, and same amount you will be writing on your credit side. In this way entry number 25th is completed. Now let's see what is next for us, and that is entry number 27. It is saying paid electricity bill. As you are paying, that means cash is going out. No, date first, 25th. Now 27 you will be mentioning date. Now you can have an idea why date is so important. I am leaving the entry and leaving the recording of that transaction and stopping my activity and writing 27. So please keep it in mind, date is more important, as without date it would be almost impossible to have correct answers of cash book. We are at 27. Now we will see what 27 is saying. Paid electricity bill. If you are paying, it means cash is going out, your cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is your asset is decreasing. So a decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side, so you will mention cash on credit side. As an asset it has been decreased. It was entry number 27. Why you have paid cash? For electricity bill. Bills are your expenses and debit side is fixed for expenses, so you will write electricity bill on debit side. In this way journal is completed for 27th entry. But what was the amount of 27 after 90,000? We will see it is 4,000, so you will write 4,000 on debit side, and same amount you will be writing on credit side of this journal. In this way entry number 27 is completed. Let's see what is next, and that is 31. So we will mention 31 over here. I have seen there are two entries of same date, so you can mention 31A entry at first. And what first 31 entry is saying is paid salary. When you will pay, it means you are paying in cash, and that means cash is going out, with which cash in hand is decreasing. Decrease in cash in hand means decrease in asset. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side, so you will mention cash on credit side. For what purpose you have paid this cash? That is salary. As you are paying, then salary is your expense. Expenses should be mentioned on debit side, so you will mention name of salary on your debit side. Here you will put your salary. Entry is salaries to cash 31A. Now let's see how much amount of salary is. That is, it is little misprinted, perhaps 10,000. We will check it out. Amount of salary is 10,000, so you will write 10,000 over here, and same amount would be written on credit side. This way entry has been completed. Now let's see what is next for us, and that is again 31. So you will put 31B entry, and what 31B is saying, that is paid rent. You are paying rent. Again it's payment, it means cash is going out. Cash is going out mean cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is your asset, mean asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side, so you will mention cash on credit side. One aspect completed. Now for what purpose you are paying this cash? That is rent. As it's a payment, so rent is an expense, and debit side is fixed for expenses, so you will write rent on debit side. It was 31B, and there is nothing after 31. It means all the entries are recorded in our journal. This portion has been completed. As it was earlier informed that there are two parts. One second, last entry's amount has not been written. Let's see what 31B's amount is, and that is 3,000. So you will put 3,000 on debit side, and same amount you will be writing on your credit side. This way entry number 31B has been completed. Okay, as earlier it was mentioned that there are two parts. One part is journal, and journal part has been completed. What we have done step by step by step, these so many entries we have journalized. The term I'm using is journalized. When you are recording your transaction in journal, it is called you have journalized. One step is completed, and now next step is to post all of these journal entries into the cash book. And we will post these journal entries in the next part of the question. Up till now, if you have any query, you can comment or you can ask, and in next part we will welcome you again for the second part of the question, where this journal would be converted into ledger. Up till then, please permit me take a short break and come back.